it's Katie, and today on Katie's Take 5 Friday, I'm going to be counting down the top 5 best fantasy worlds. So this idea came to me from one of my little dragons, Johnny Delgado. Thank you so much for the idea, because I've been wanting to do this video for a while actually. But there are just so many incredible fantasy worlds, it's almost impossible to pick 5, but I did it. I picked 5 that are close to my heart, so they may differ from your list. Okay, so starting us out at number 5 is Hyrule from the Legend of Zelda franchise. Hyrule is an incredible fantasy world with so many different areas that you could go to. I'd want to live there as long as Ganondorf wasn't still trying to rule things, because he tends to make it not such a happy place. But I would definitely want to live there. I just think it would be great to have my own little fairy following me around telling me, hey, look, listen! Maybe that would get a little annoying actually now that I think about it. But still, living in Hyrule would be awesome, especially if you were a queen or maybe a princess. I would have a horse and I'd ride around in the Hyrule field all day, and as long as I never had to go to the water temple, we'd be good. But Hyrule is a beautiful land filled with magic, really cool weapons, cool people, awesome locations, so it is definitely on my list of one of my very favorite fantasy worlds. Number 4, the Star Wars universe. This universe is just so incredible. I mean, how cool would it be to live up in space, on planets, ride around in spaceships, and have lightsaber battles, defeat stormtroopers? That would be really awesome. But what makes the Star Wars universe so incredible is the fact that it's so big and there are so many different sections to it, and sections we haven't even explored yet. So for me, that's the reason that it had to be on my list, because there's just so much more we could know about this universe. And hopefully we do this December. Yes, The Force Awakens! Number 3, Middle-earth. Yes, from one gigantic universe to another, Middle-earth is the epitome of an epic fantasy world. One of my very favorite things about Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies were you actually got to go to multiple parts of Middle-earth. It wasn't just set in, one location. They went all over the place, and that's what I love about it. You saw so many different types of people, creatures, monsters. I love all the classes and races, and depending where you live in Middle-earth, it may be really awesome. It may also be really terrible, but I would definitely want to live amongst the elves. Number 2. Alright, so the only reason why this one's number 2 and not like number 5, because some of the other worlds that I mentioned are a lot bigger, but number 2 is the Game of Thrones universe. Now, I can't just say Westeros, because there's also Essos. So you have Westeros and Essos, and then we don't really know if there's anything else. But we have 2 continents in this world. For a book with 1 billion descriptive pages, the world actually is fairly small when you compare it to Middle-earth or the Star Wars universe, but at the same time they do an amazing job of spreading it out so you get to see every single inch of the world. And so for me, it had to be on my list. Game of Thrones is like my very favorite TV show, and I would love to live there. Everyone always asks me, where would you want to live in Game of Thrones? So I don't know, I think I would have to go with Highgarden for sure. I mean, if I wasn't sitting on the throne in King's Landing, then probably Highgarden. Alright guys, we are down to my number 1 very favorite fantasy world, and it partially has to do with childhood, and partially because I think it's probably the most realistic to our normal life now. But number 1 is the world of Harry Potter. Now, of course, this one had to be number 1 on my list because Harry Potter had this epic fantasy world, but it was still going on at the same time of our world that we know now. So for me, I find that so interesting because, growing up as a kid, I was like, I know that there's witches and wizards out there and I'm gonna be one. I was always one that wanted to live in that world. So the world of Harry Potter was like so awesome for me because I could be a normal kid, just picked one day to go to Hogwarts and learn witchcraft and wizardry, and that's amazing. There were also other schools besides Hogwarts. We got to see them a little bit in the 4th book, but I really wanted to know what else was out there. And I feel like there's probably way more out there, and I wish I could have just known all about the world and found out way more about it. But that's what's so exciting about it, is that I totally think that there are so many things that we don't know that we could still find out about. So for me, being a kid who always wanted to grow up and learn how to do magic, I had to go with the world of Harry Potter for my number 1 very favorite fantasy world. Well, there you have it. What I think are the top 5 best fantasy worlds. A very special thank you to Johnny Delgado. And I want to know from you guys, out of the 5 options on my list, which one would you want to live in the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey you, don't go anywhere. Make sure you click that button right there to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. And just in case you missed my last video, click right on over here to check it out.